So as you guys are aware, the whole like LGBTQ agenda being pushed down everybody's throats and literally forced into everyone's brains these days in terms of media and entertainment and all this stuff. And they try to say, oh, well, you just have a problem with representation. Clearly, you have such an issue with that. Oh my God, you bigot. No, it's just really annoying when you kind of make everything about yourselves and you try to think that your personality is completely tied up in your sexuality and they should be two separate things. But for some reason, it's the exact same thing for a lot of people within that community. But I digress. I know there's a lot of people in that community that are not like that. But the funny thing about all this is that we have endured for the last couple of years nonstop, literal rainbow sausage fest, constant throwing down our brains of LGBTQ stuff in our entertainment, movies, comics, games, all that stuff. And now apparently the annual GLAAD report, which is the company that makes all these studios do this stuff, just recently gave poor grades to almost every single major studio that creates films for, quote, lack of LGBTQ representation in movies. Holy shit. So even with all the nonstop pandering that these studios have been doing, according to GLAAD, they gave all the studios an F, essentially. So it's still not enough. It is insane. So we're going to get into the article, guys. This one comes to us from Bounding Into Comics. It says, the annual GLAAD report gives poor grades to every major film studio for lack of the LGBTQ representation in movies. Earlier this year, the Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation announced that they would start grading studios on their LGBT advocacy as determined by their political donations to left-wing candidates and willingness to censor LGBTQ scenes in international markets. This decision was made in direct response to Disney's attempt to enter politics by opposing the state of Florida's parental rights and education law, which bans the blah, blah, blah. I already said this multiple times. No company that chooses silence over allyship should receive high scores from LGBTQ organizations, while nearly 200 anti-LGBTQ bills advance in states around the country, often targeting transgender youth. Oh, God. Said GLAAD CEO, the president Sarah Kate Ellis at the time, corporations need to be held accountable for funding politicians that harm LGBTQ people, including their own employees, and for inaction on legislation that they can help defeat. So that is a whole fucking like clusterfuck paragraph to basically say pander to us and bend the knee, otherwise we are going to try to cancel you in every way imaginable. That's exactly what that says. They don't want, let's just be clear, okay? Be very, very clear with what I'm saying. LGBTQ people as a whole probably definitely just care about rights and that's it, whatever, even though they have the same rights as everybody else, but I digress. It is what it is. They have a section, I'm going to say, within that community that is massively vocal. And every single studio, every single corporation, every single video, whatever, they literally pander to that select minority that is extremely loud, okay? And that's why corporations like GLAAD exist, all right? They want to make that little minority even louder. And if you don't bend the knee to that minority, then they are going to come after you. That's essentially what it is. That's all GLAAD is for. GLAAD wants to grade you on how much you pander to the LGBTQ community. Can you imagine a company that exists solely to see how well you are pandering? That's exactly what this company is. It says a month later, Ellis further called on Hollywood to take meaningful action in improving quantity, quality, and diversity of LGBTQ depictions in the media, especially in kids and family programming, which is one they targeted a lot, okay? They targeted kids and family programming a lot. They want to heavily focus on indoctrinating kids. I expect every industry executive in this room to join us. GLAAD will give you the playbook, said Ellis at the April 2022 GLAAD Media Awards, but we won't give you a pass. Ooh, they won't give you a pass. Oh no, what's going to happen if GLAAD gets not GLAAD? I can only imagine. However, despite the organization's attempts at intimidation, which is exactly what it is, GLAAD's latest and 10th annual Studio Responsibility Index reports that all 7 major film studios failed to receive a passing grade based on those new metrics. Looking at the percentage of LGBTQ characters featured in Hollywood films in the 2021 calendar year, the organization found that only 16 of the 77 films released theatrically by the 7 major studios contain LGBTQ characters. Now, here's the funny thing. So 16 out of 77 films, right? Which is 20.8%. So that population is single-digit percentages. And that's like literally trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, because there's a lot of kids that claim that they're LGBTQ, but when they grow up, they're 100% straight. And the reason why they claim to be LGBTQ is because they feel like it gives them some sort of notice or some sort of differentiation from everyone else. It's proven. There's a lot of people who are like that. So if you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, we're going to give you high single digit percentages of the population. And you have almost double that in terms of, or more than double that in terms of actual film representation at almost 21%. And you mean to tell me that's not enough? So you want what, 50% of representation for a population of single digits? It's kind of ridiculous. It says Sony Pictures, United Artists Releasing, Universal Pictures, and Walt Disney Studios all received the grade of insufficient, while Warner Brothers received the grade of poor. That's crazy that Warner Brothers received poor. Meanwhile, Lionsgate and Paramount Pictures received the organization's worst score, failing due to their films not containing any LGBTQ characters. Further, after finding zero such representation in Hollywood for the second year in a row, GLAAD also took issue with how LGBTQ characters with a disability and zero living with HIV remains a part of the LGBTQ community that is severely underrepresented. Why would you want to represent someone with HIV? Oh my God, bro. What does that even matter? How do you even make that fit in? What is even the purpose? Not only that, you're trying to oh, I can't even think right now. Like, you're trying to put a specific stereotype about HIV in the gay community. So you're trying to foster that by forcing representation of gay characters within movies who have HIV. Don't you realize what that does for the actual image of people who are in the LGBTQ community? Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get the fucking mindset. It says, as a result, GLAAD has taken to pushing what they call the Vito Russo test as a rubric for creating more significant and meaningful LGBTQ content in major studio films. Named after GLAAD founder Vito Russo and taking in inspiration from the infamous Bechdel test, the test can only be passed if all the following criteria are met. Oh, this is going to be good. Let's see. So it says the following. The film contains a character that is identifiably lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. That character must not be solely or predominantly defined by their sexual orientation or gender identity. They are comprised of the same sort of unique character traits commonly used to differentiate straight and cisgender characters from one another. Well, there goes the entire Bros movie, because the entire fucking Bros movie is literally just a whole big gay fest. Like, the whole thing is their personality is them being gay. You look at this. Look at this. Look at this fucking picture. The entire fucking place is littered in rainbows. Come the fuck on. You mean to tell me that that's one of the stipulations? They probably cheered a movie like this, and yet you have one American flag literally surrounded by a whole bunch of gay fucking like, oh my God, dude. I get so upset because the hypocrisy, in this is just wild. The LGBTQ character must be tied to the plot in such a way that the character's removal would have a significant effect, meaning the character is not there to simply provide a colorful commentary, paint urban authenticity, or set up a punchline. The character must matter. The LGBTQ character story must not be outwardly offensive, avoids defaulting to well-known tropes or stereotypes with no further but you oh man. So you don't want them to be offensive. You don't want them to follow stereotypes and tropes, and yet you still want them to be represented in the sense that you're upset that there's not gay characters who have HIV. Like, you want gay characters with HIV represented, but then you don't want tropes and stereotypes of the gay community represented. Like, what the fuck? Make up your mind. These people are all over the place. At a time when LGBTQ community is under unprecedented attacks, it is more important than ever to hold studios and corporations accountable as businesses remain the most trusted entity in the U.S., said Ellis of this year's report. This new addition to our methodology tracking corporate actions makes it clear that entertainment and media companies need to expand beyond on-screen representation, she added. LGBTQ people deserve to have positive representation reflected in cinemas around the world, and to know that the people in the companies who make and market LGBTQ inclusive films unequivocally stand for the LGBTQ folks. I mean, God, it must be miserable to be a company that literally is just like a big hall monitor. Like, this entire company is a fucking gay hall monitor. Like, they're just out there trying to make sure that everybody is doing what they don't actually want to do by force. They want it to happen naturally, but you're there trying to force them to do it so nobody's actually going to want to do it because they're in an environment that feels forced. None of it feels natural. And you're out there trying to be a hall monitor, and you're trying to tell the teacher that they didn't do X, Y, Z. That's how you're acting. And that's exactly what GLAAD is. GLAAD is just a giant fucking gay hall monitor. It's ridiculous. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought of today's story, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.